First cucumber of the season. You want to check it out? It's essentially a gherkin, isn't it? Tastes bloody good though. Normally, this point, mid-July, I'm sick of cucumbers. I've eaten so many that I'm just giving them away. And yet this is the first one, and it's tiny. It's been a dreadful growing season, hasn't it, for some crops. But you know, climate change isn't real. It's not really happening, folks. Wow. I have to say, although I've thoroughly enjoyed this year so far gardening, it's allowing me to tidy a few things up and get things done. My apple harvest looks like it could be alright if we don't have any storms that blow them all off. The raspberries have been pathetic, but then again, if you remember, I planted a yellow raspberry bed. I planted a yellow raspberry bed, and although I've had a few raspberries off it over the years, they've never done really good. I know I do the system where I don't mind the birds getting a few, but even that, I mean, normally if I grow my like loganberries and stuff, I still have plenty, even with the birds eating them. But I don't know whether it's pollination because I haven't seen very many bees about or what, but the last couple of years they've been bad. Now I've got bindweed in there as well, in with the bed. So I've decided that the raspberries are going to go. I'm going to dig a few up. I'm going to move them to the back of the plot in the wet bit, because nothing really grows there, and raspberries, well, grow anywhere, won't they really? Hello, Mr. Robin. How you doing, fella? You good? How you doing, mate? You want some food? You alright, Scruff? You alright, Scruff? Want some cucumber? He's like, no, I don't want any cucumber. So yeah, I'm going to put the raspberries at the back, completely clear that area, put a few more raised beds in, and that'll be a nice job to do over the summer. But as for conventional harvest, cucumber, tomatoes, everything else, it's just been a bad season, hasn't it? I mean, enjoyable, but it's a damn good job I'm not, you know, needs to survive off these. That's all I can say, because it wouldn't get you very far, would it? I mean, you can't beat the quality. It's like the nicest cucumber that I've eaten all year. But I just wish I had about 20 more of them. And I wish I had another 10 for next week as normal seasons go by. But I've got little baby ones, so you never know. Maybe August will give me a load of cucumbers. But until then, I just enjoy this one. So it's time to harvest some potatoes. And for those of you who followed me for the last few weeks, you'll notice that I've grown my potatoes in pots. I've done this now probably for the best part of 5-6 years on and off, because I tend to find you get a much cleaner potato with less slug damage, and also you don't stab them with the fork when you harvest them. Now these potatoes are rocket, and they've died down now. Obviously the foliage has gone yellow, so the potatoes aren't going to grow anymore, and you do have the risk of the foliage then becoming diseased and affecting the potato. So what I tend to do is chop all the foliage off, and then I stack the pots on top of each other. Now my back garden is pretty much shady most of the time, but as you can see, I'm still getting a fair few potatoes. This is one bucket which had 2 seed potatoes in it. It's not a fantastic harvest at all, but you have to bear in mind that I've also grown this in what I would consider to be substandard compost. These potatoes have been grown in soil conditioner with a little bit of potato feed, and the idea behind that is I can turn a 1 ton bag of soil conditioner, which cost me £40, into some amazing potting compost for next year. Plus I get essentially free potatoes. So this is not just about growing potatoes, this is about growing potatoes and making my own seed compost for next year. And to be fair, that's not a bad little free harvest. I mean, and as you can see, they're relatively clean. Just a quick wash off with the hose and we're good to go. I'd say there was probably 800 grams, maybe a kilo of potatoes there, and that's the only one that was really scabby, and they were only trimmings. Everything else is the skin's been left on, because obviously they're a new potato, and skins are full of goodness. And they make some really good chips. Now, we've got a little Ninja air fry here. I'm a messy cook, so ignore the oil splatter. But yeah, I cook my chips twice, 160 degrees and then normally 180 degrees. And then if they need a little bit longer, I'll put them on for a couple of minutes at 200 degrees. But you get some really good quality chips. And who doesn't like chips and egg for tea? Oh, absolute food of the gods. Well, almost as good as a barbecue, isn't it? And that's the next job. Sort the bindweed out that's grown around the blackcurrants, the blackberries at the back of the garden. Hi folks, how you doing? Look at this amazing weather. You'd think it was July, wouldn't you? You wouldn't believe it with the rain we've had the last few weeks. Anyway, the cucumber harvest is improving. Uno, dos, and David Trezeguet. Yes, 3 cucumbers today. A little bit better, a little bit better. At least I can take some home and share them with other people now and not just eat them on my own. Right, best get cracking and do some jobs, hadn't I? So I walk through the mint. Oh, I love doing this, it smells so nice. You're probably thinking, why have I got so much mint if you haven't seen my channel before, but this is the area that floods. And oddly, the mint helps, and I use it for munching on. Hedgerow chewing gum, there we go. Well, you can try and get one without a bit of black fly on it, but yeah. So yeah, the pumpkins that were planted here died, they rotted off in the water. Even though we're in the middle of July, probably can't hear it because of the straws helping a bit, but it's absolutely sodden, it really is. Anyway, so I sacked off the pumpkins because they weren't growing. Oh, I got some blueberries just there. Might pick those in a bit. So I sacked off the pumpkins because they weren't growing, they just rotted off. Put some more pots in, got some more potatoes in. These should be ready in about 60 days. These are Sarpo Mira, so I'm not worried about blight. Yeah, they've got to be topped off because I run out of compost, but it doesn't matter. As long as the potatoes growing, I will cover them up and they'll be fine. Quite impressed with those blueberries. A subscriber bought me this tree, and I normally lose them to the birds. You can see. Try this one, shall we? Oh, it's tart. Oh, it is tart. Yeah, needs a bit more sunlight, that does. Wow! If you like tang fastics, wow, that's tangy. I'll leave them a bit, but I know the birds are going to beat me to them. These pumpkins in the raised beds aren't doing too bad. Not as good as I'd have hoped. Been a lot of slug action this year, hasn't there, because of the rain. I mean, I actually lost one. 2 pumpkins actually I lost because of slug damage. They thankfully are going to be alright now because they've started to get their prickles. And once pumpkins start to get their prickles, especially on the underside of the leaves, turn it over, you're less likely to get slug damage. Overall, the slug doesn't want a prickly gob, does it? So, but I'm hoping I'll do alright for pumpkins. I wanted this year to be a really... Oh, sun's in my face. I wanted this year to be a really good pumpkin year because I got into putting pumpkins in the slow cooker with stews and curries and things, and it was absolutely beautiful. And sadly, everything I've grown so far, pumpkin related. Apart from the pumpkins on my drive in the wheelie bin that are doing really well, all the other pumpkins are suffering really bad. But I've got a lot of good stuff going on too. It's been a bad season so far, but I have got a lot of good stuff going on too. I mean, the rhubarb that I salvaged from an old plot, that's going great guns, and that's probably ready to go out in the ground because I had to chop it up into bits, so I didn't want to pick any of it, but I might nobble a couple of stalks, and that's got it ready to go in the ground soon. I'm thinking about putting that over there where the raspberries were. Raspberries are now gone. I don't know if you can see. Plan is with this area here is to now cover it in cardboard. I put some mulch down, big thick layer. I'm going to cover it with cardboard, and then I'm going to cover it with manure, and that's going to be next year's pumpkin bed. And then I'm going to put the compost bins on top of it as well. And then hopefully with the cardboard and the manure and the bark, that should suppress a lot of the raspberries. I don't mind if raspberries pop up around the edge because that's easily manageable. But and I've got plenty of raspberries there to dig up under the junk pile. Ready to go to the recycling centre. Well, not all of it. Some of it's got to go to my other plot because it's cages to stop the pigeons jumping on seedlings and stuff. But anyway, a lot of it is rubbish. It's got to be recycled. But it's been so wet that I don't want to drive the car down here to load it up, and I don't really want to walk it all backwards and forwards all the way. Two patches now gone. I've always wanted to have a raspberry hedge. I don't know if any of you see my old videos. I've always talked about that. So what I'm going to do is the yellow raspberries that I dig out of there, I'm going to dot them around my plot, and then I can grow a raspberry hedge. Put some loganberries, blackberries, thornless blackberries and things like that in there. One thing that is going really well is my marigolds. I do like a marigold. If you remember, I put this salad bed together and that just got slugged. I've got loads of salad at home, growing in hanging baskets and pots and stuff, so it's fine. But look at that, the slugs are even having a go at thistles and things. They're just rampant this year. I mean, it's good for the birds because every time I've come down here, I've seen thrushes and all sorts just basically harvesting slugs by the gobful. So yeah, maybe we'll have a good bird population for next year. Maybe it's nature's way. Maybe. Oh, something else I discovered the other day, thanks to Instagram. Oh, get my thumb out of the way, Roscoe. Nettle seeds. Who knew nettle seeds were so good for you? I didn't know that. I've eaten nettles before and I've made nettle beer and it's fantastic. But no one told me about nettle seeds. And they're like full of like antioxidants and like stuff that makes you happy, endorphins, is it? I can't remember. But yeah, apparently you can just eat them green, you can wait till they dry off and put them in like your cereal and stuff. And just to prove a point, I've got to watch my fingers because I always get stung. Actually, the stings are really good for you if you've got pain because they help stimulate your nervous system. So, got some seeds. And they're alright. They taste as you'd imagine a nettle would taste, but in a good way. So I found myself just lately, without stinging myself, picking the nettle seed and eating a handful every time I'm down here. Because the good thing is I know that my nettles aren't sprayed with anything. So I've been having my feed of nettle seeds. It's quite a challenge as well to get them without nipping you. But make sure you don't get too much of the stalk, otherwise you end up stinging your mouth. Top tip there. Just to prove how bad the slug situation is, and the slug situation has always been bad on this plot because of how wet it is, but just to show how bad it is this year, I want to show you this. I don't think I've ever seen this before, but here goes. So that's my first sunflower. That's the only sunflower I've got growing this year because they've all failed. They've either rotted in the rain, they got stunted by that cold spell we had in May, or this has happened. Bloody slug has eaten the top off a sunflower, and that's definitely a slug. You can see whether it's been munched. So at some point, look, the slug's had a go at the pumpkin here as well. Look, it's climbed all the way up there and just chewed off the top of a sunflower. I genuinely have never seen that before in what is an established sunflower that's got 4 sets of true leaves on it, and it's been munched by a slug from the top down. They're buggers, aren't they? They really are buggers. Anyway, folks, that's a whistle-stop tour of the plot. I mean, I am happy with my apples this year. Fingers crossed they survive. This could be the first really good year for apples on the plot. One of the reasons I wanted to get rid of the raspberries here, and because of the bindweed, because I'm getting really good crop on my apple trees, and I love apples. Apples are probably my favourite fruit, and so what I'm thinking is I might even stick in another couple more apple trees. I mean, these are like 3 years old now, and they were providing last year, you know, I wouldn't say bushels of apples, but I was coming down and eating them. I was taking them home, and I'm probably going to have triple the harvest this year than I had last. That's not bad for a 3-year-old apple tree, to be fair. And there's very little effort to growing apple trees. I mean, I don't know if I'd struggle on this side of the plot with the water yet, because this side, the other side's slightly drier, because how I've over the years altered it by raising it up and planting a few trees and stuff to help with the water situation. But yeah, I would quite like a few more apple trees. I've thought about having one. If I have it, it'd have to be this side of the plot, because it's slightly less wet than that side of the plot. But I'm pretty sure I can get 2. I'm not having big apple trees. I don't want them any bigger than, these are about, I'd say these are 7 foot tall, and I'm going to try and keep them to 7 foot. Easy to pick, not in the way too much, not going to go nuts. I mean, that one there is probably about 8 foot, but when I prune that in the autumn, I will, you know, take a good couple of foot out of that, try and get the goblin, no, not a goblin, try and get a goblet shape to it. So yeah. Anyway, folks, I got to get stuff done. Could talk all day, but I got the other plot to go to in a bit. Do some gentle hoeing, some weeding, and pick these nettle seeds out my teeth. So, till next time, take care. Speak soon. Big old frog. There he is. Ah, he just walked across the path, and I just missed him. And he's gone under the rocks. But there he is. Oh, I just see a little bit of him. Let's see if I can get him. Oh, he's gone, hasn't he? Ah, he's just moved his foot out of the way. Ha ha. He was lucky. I wasn't looking where I was going. I could have trod on the bugger. Phew. I'd have been crying all day if I'd have done that. So good. So good.